A lot of you are probably thinking you're supposed to be saving as much as you can for retirement. Huge mistake. You need to stop right now and reevaluate that approach.
Because you're probably operating off bad advice.
Deep down inside, you may have known this all along. However, for me, it's been a recent, eye-opening approach. Within the last year or so, I've been working with my teenage daughter, who holds 2 or 3 jobs throughout the year. Her primary job is a cashier at our local grocery store, but she also consistently books photography appointments. With her camera in hand and her skill set, she's taken family pictures and graduation pictures. She's even taken a number of pictures of people with their horses and their cows. She's got a handful of families she babysits for, and she worked as a paid intern for our church over the summer. Because she's doing so much even before she turns 18, I knew I had to work with her quickly to talk about saving money. Of almost every dollar she's earned over the past year, she's only used about 80% of it for goofing off and having fun. She gives 10% to our church and puts 10% in her savings account. Recently, I realized I may have misled her a little bit regarding her savings habits. There's a part of me that's so grateful she's embraced savings and tithing habits at such a young age. It's definitely a quality I want her to be very capable of throughout her life. But there's another part of me that's a little bit saddened at what's happening. As you might imagine, she's working at or just above minimum wage at her grocery store job, and her photography rates are significantly reduced because she's a teenager. Her ability to take great photos is impressive, but the world factors in her age and assumes they're getting a budget product. They simply assume she's inexperienced. The point here is she's putting in a lot of hard work and already giving up a lot of free time as a teenager. And she's doing all of this to earn a small amount of money. Don't get me wrong, it's probably a huge chunk compared to what most teenagers are making, but it's still small in the world with things that cost so much. The gas pumps, the movie theaters, the clothing retailers, they all charge the same regardless of how old you are and how much money you make. Oh, and her favorite too, the ice cream shops. She gets that from her dad. So if my daughter is doing so well with her work habits and her tithing habits, why on earth would I be sad? Well, because at a point in her life where she's likely earning the least amount of money compared to her later years, I'm teaching her to save for a time where she's going to be making more money. So if you're in your teens, 20s, or 30s, I still think you should be saving money. I just don't think you need to limit yourself so much when it comes to spending it on things that are going to create those lifelong memories. There's so many things that you can be doing when you're in your teens, 20s, and 30s that simply won't be able to be done, or maybe not as easily, later in life. It's far easier to plan a trip with your friends down to the Florida Keys, go snorkeling, parasailing, rent jet skis. It's easier to do this when you're young than when you got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old at home. It's probably not as easy to pay for this kind of trip when you're in your 20s compared to your 60s, but I think your 20s self will far more enjoy bouncing around on that jet ski pounding those waves than your 60s-year-old self. There's 3 factors to consider when it comes to spending and saving your money. Your money, your time, and your health. When we're younger, we have less money, but better health, generally speaking anyway. And in retirement, we'll have far more time and hopefully more money, but our health will diminish as we get older and older. This has all been inspired by a recent book I've been reading called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. The book's about getting all you can from your money, but also your life. So should we just save our money, give some to our church, pay our bills, and then blow the rest? Of course not. But I do think there's some sort of curve that you need to take some time to figure out on how much you should be spending and saving in this season of your life versus the next. For example, we've all heard save 10% of everything you earn. I've been preaching that for years. Maybe for you, and it's different for everybody, but maybe for you the answer is save 6% when you're in your 20s and ramp that all the way up to maybe 25% by the time you're in your 50s. Regardless of your age, an emergency fund is still always critical, because what's worse than planning that trip down to the Keys or wherever you want to go with your friends, only to have to pull the plug on it because the transmission went out in your car and you have to use that money to pay for the transmission. It's a matter of striking a balance between the 2 ideas, one being we don't live forever, and 2, making sure we have enough money in retirement to live comfortably. The specific idea of dying with zero leans a little bit more towards the folks that are either about to retire or are already in retirement. You don't want to become such a hoarder of your savings account that you die with so much left in there that it costs you to miss out on life experiences. Some of you might think, yeah, but whatever's in there when I die, I'll just leave it to my kids. Leaving money to your kids is great. I hope to be able to do the same. But decide how much that's going to be as close as possible, put it in a fund, and then take the rest and live out your life. Get yourself a copy of Bill's book, as he has an impressive way of putting all these ideas together. I think it'll change your life, and maybe even what you teach your kids. My conversations with my daughter have already begun to take a slightly different angle. Stay disciplined and saving for your future. Don't be foolish, but be bold on how you use your money to experience life. We don't live forever, and tomorrow is not promised.